Hello, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm facilitating the fourth of 5 sessions of Fate of Umdaar. Fate of Umdaar is a new Fate setting from Evil Hat, currently in playtest. We're using the published playtest pack. So the game may be different when you come to see it on the market, but hopefully this will be informative. This game was organized as part of the Gauntlet online gaming community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about Gauntlet, please search Gauntlet-RPG and find out about us, because we loved how you can play with us. We are playing with a set of safety tools to ensure that everyone has a good time at the table. I and the players, we all know each other quite well, so we don't expect those to crop up as an issue. If you want to know more about those safety tools, then please just refer to one of the earlier sessions. Is there anything I want to say? Fate of Umdaar is a planetary romance, and we'll pick up, we'll communicate some sense of where we're at in our story once the players have said hello and told us a little something about their characters. So that's all for me for the moment. One of our players just is actually at Glastonbury and didn't believe that the web signal would be good enough for him to log on, and in fact he's probably at a gig, so he's not with us today. So let me begin left to right on the character keeper by saying to Sabine, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Lars Gloomfall.
Hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Lars Gloomfall, who uses he pronouns. Lars is a remorseful dragonfolk runesmith, which means he has magic. He has control over shadows and gravity. He used to work for some people that he thought were the good guys because they were running a prison. That is good, right? Keeping bad people off the street. And then he learned that they were doing a lot more than keeping bad people off the street. So he decided that that was not cool, and promptly betrayed his grandmother and ran away to fight the Cuttle Lord. So, yeah.
I wondered if you were going to define some people who ran this prison. Your grandmother ran this prison.
Yeah.
While I remember, you should now just change your consequence. Your moderate consequence is now a mild one.
Okay.
And that will be done by the end of this session. So
Okay.
give it a slightly different spin to show it some kind of recovery, that your state of general kind of trepidation is not quite as extreme as it was. Moving along.
Shifted to freezing my butt
off. So Brandon, say hello.
True.
Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Victory Through Perseverance.
Hello, everyone. My name's Brandon, and I am playing Victory Through Perseverance, who is a she, generally known as Vicky for obvious reasons, because she was nicknamed by her then young charge, the Princess Zenobia. Victory is a Mutaworrior, a created being who was made a very long time ago, and has had a number of lifetimes, as it were, separated by huge spans of suspended animation. And by the Gallaglass family to be the watcher and protector, and indeed friend for the young princess, against whom serious threats of violence had been made. Victory was created to be a military scout, a Zhefra Rider. A Zhefra being a nasty horse, rhinoceros, many other dreadful things, hybrid, that looks somewhat horse-like until you get close enough to notice the claws, the teeth, and the vicious predatory disposition. But it's tough and relatively intelligent for an animal, and quite suitable to carry someone like Victory. She is currently revealed that one of her previous existences was in service of the ex-lord of the icequake tundra, Quada, who she served as a military scout for a time before the latter was dispossessed and thrown into prison. And as a result, this has caused a rift for the time being between her and her friend Zenobia, the princess. The Victory was one of her major aspects as I was created to serve. She is, her very being cries out to serve someone of great importance. And since abandoning her lord in favor of the princess, she has wrestled with what this means and whether or not her life has is in abeyance until she can find someone else worthy to serve. And that's who she is.
And a complicated individual this created young woman is. Talking of young women, Alexi, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Princess Zenobia.
Hello, so I am Alexi, he, him. You can follow all of my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games if you're interested in games I have created or other games I've participated in. Check out Cloven Pine Games on Twitter and on itch.io. In this series, I am playing Princess Zenobia Gallowglass. She is the 19-year-old daughter of one of the Dread Masters of Umdaar. Her father, Gulian Gallowglass, presents himself as a benevolent ruler, harsh but fair, right? But she discovered recently that he maintains his immortal reign by extracting and feasting on the souls of his subjects, and that did not sit right with her. She is a runaway now, a rebellious scion of a master who says she won't get fooled again, and she has stolen these powerful moonsteel daggers from her father and joined with this motley crew to take on the Cudgel Lord, because they know that his weapon is actually the hammer of the Beasts of Umdaar, which is capable of destroying other powerful artifacts left over from the Demiurge, and that would include her own father's soul extractor. So, for her, things are simple. They need to get the hammer, destroy the soul extractor, bring down Gulian Gallowglass's reign, and we'll figure other things out after that. But yeah, at the moment, she's a little bit on the outs with her, most loyal friend and guard, Vicky, and we'll see if they're able to patch things up.
Yeah, Vicky is the only family I have, is your relationship aspect. Goodness
That's
me.
true. That's true. But sometimes family disappoints you.
And Vicky certainly disappointed you last time. Our fourth character is Thorian. Thorian is a warrior scholar of the Rad-folk. These are a people who are principally energy beings. But because Will can't be with us today, what I'm going to assume, or what I'm going to create in the narrative, is the idea that in these extreme conditions, the psychic energy that Thorian often relies on for much of his activity is so focused on trying to stop his energy just being sucked into the ice that he is barely visible, let alone corporeal, and therefore he will be present but pretty much invulnerable to the bad guys. If the players who are here can make a reasonable case for one of his aspects having a part to play, then they are free to spend a fate point to invoke one of his aspects in their benefit, and we'll simply do a bit of narrative hand waving around that. So, because we don't feel that we can have Thorian at risk, in the real risk in the absence of his player. So that is where we are. That is who we are. In terms of where we are, we're what's shown behind me. We open with the characters perhaps huddled round Thorian's dark robes, as the glowing energy that is Thorian gutters and flickers.
Oh no!
And he is reduced really to talking to your minds. And he explains that he is here, but in these conditions, you're going to have to get him away from these deep icy conditions of the icequake tundra if you are to allow him to rematerialize, so to speak. Because we know that his people kind of hold their bodies together, but ultimately it gets more difficult. And clearly it is more difficult when the temperature is as low as it is in the icequake tundra, because you are in a deep icy crevasse, making your way as quietly as or as secretly as you could to the base of the Cudgel Lord's icy fortress. And you know now, because you encountered them last time, that the Cudgel Lord has things that we've called husks. These barely human, inhuman, non-human husks of people, that of beings, because not everyone on Umdaar is human. Husks of living beings who seem to serve him as warriors and guards. So you know that there are husks in the vicinity, or you know of their existence. You know that the crevasse leads to the base of his icy fortress. I think I'm going to go to Princess Zenobia first, because Princess, to an extent, all of this revolves around your urge to punish your father, get revenge on your father. I don't, that motivation we might tease out if and when you ever confront him. But now,
bring things that are make right the things that are wrong. Yeah, and if there's a little bit of revenge along the way, that's just a bonus.
So Zenobia, what given the situation as described, what happens next? What are you suggesting?
Okay, I think we should move fast. We can't risk losing Thorian down in these icy pits. Vicky, are we close? Can we ascend soon?
Yes, there is a way into the fortress from here, or at least there used to be.
Exactly. Before you tell me about the way in, I think we need to work out how much room you've left in your crowded millennia-old brain, how much room you have allocated to remembering stuff about the icequake tundra. Because we know you served here, but I think lore is what local ability. How do we describe lore? Ancient knowledge, including myths, runes, and ancient tech. So I think lore is the best bet, unless you've got another offer to me. And I think that the difficulty is
the only offer I may have is that this is an intrusion, and burglary is one of the things I am good at.
And I think getting in will be when intrusion applies. I suppose what I'm asking you here is are you going to answer specifically about a route in, or are you looking to set up an advantage using what you remember about the best way in to apply later?
I'll do that. The icequake, the icequake tundra shifts, unfortunately, and so what was a tunnel back at one time maybe collapsed the next time, but the fortress itself is built upon a pinnacle of rock. Some things don't change, but unfortunately the landscape leading up to it may be quite different than I recall, and I'm happy to let it roll to figure out how different.
So let's have a go at this then. So I think difficulty is 2, and your lore is, I can't remember.
My lore is 0.
Okay, so that is 1 versus, so it's currently a fail to create an advantage.
So I do a 1. I will invoke serve to the icequake tundra, of course.
Fine.
And I think what happens is that the tunnel comes to a place where it seems to end. And I put my hand on it and I go into a deep study for a moment. And I go, no, wait, this tunnel continues. This must be, this is just a cave-in.
So let me ask you then, Vicky, in terms of where this advantage is going to apply in terms of getting in, it seems to me there are two obvious ways to get to the pinnacle of the fortress, which we have to presume is where everything that matters is.
Of course.
It's either to go up the inside or to go up the outside. Which of those two approaches is this advantage in relation to?
This is going up the inside. This is finding a way into the fortress, like everything else, is designed to keep people out. It is not so much designed to keep people who are already in from getting into other places. And there are ways out designed by the original builders of the fortress to allow for escape in the case of a siege. And of course, those ways out, some of which have been forgotten to a great degree, are ways in. If you know how to look and you know how to get past the traps that are in there to prevent that very thing from being utilized by attackers.
Okay, so I have created the tunnels of the ice fortress with 1 free invoke. So now we know there are tunnels that give access to the inside, and you have a free invoke to access them, or while you're in them, or however you can convince me to apply it. So so that appears to be the route. Lars, have you any view on this?
Lars's view is yes, you said we should, I can hurry really because I have a dragonfolk and we don't do too well with the cold as well as Thorian. So whatever we do, please let's go somewhere where it's warmer so that my brain can unfreeze and I can start moving again faster.
So what this sounds like is that the approach is not a stealthy one, but it is a swift one.
I like stealth. I'm good with stealth, but I feel that Lars would not be like, oh no, we need to go where it's warm, fast. Is that a self-compel my dragonfolk?
I think it is. That
Okay.
Stealth is not an option, because I was either going to let you self-compel it, or I was going to hostile invoke the fact that dragonfolk are clearly not good in the cold. So by all means, award yourself a fate point, and therefore this is about a swift athletics-based approach to these tunnels to gain access to the upper levels. And I think that the way this works is that, as in all things, people move at the pace of the slowest. So I'm going to use athletics to judge how quickly you can do it. And
Great.
Then we'll come to Vicky's intrusion to see how much attention you gather doing it. Yeah? So I think
we've got 0 athletics for 2 out of our 3 party members.
Yeah. You were very reliant on Thorian for anything that involved climbing, running, jumping, or spinning in the air. So I think then Zenobia, as oh, was that?
Can I use my magical abilities to influence the gravity to grant us at least an advantage on getting up somewhere if we have to climb, because climbing is not my favorite hobby. I have claws, but they are very tiny and soft and not at all.
No, because you're a runesmith.
Because I'm a civilized person. I don't
delicate hands.
I'm a civilized person. I don't need claws to anyway.
But get in the way.
So yeah, by all means, let's have you create an advantage.
That's craft, right?
Your craft, yes.
Okay.
I think difficulty here, because you're wanting to create an advantage that could apply across the group. because we're doing this as a group activity. So I think that the difficulty is 1 for each of you. So difficulty is 3. I think I'm going to kick off with, probably generous, but there you go.
I've rolled on a 0, so I'm at 4. So yeah, if I spend a fate point, I can roll. I can have a thingy. I can be 3 over and succeed with style, right?
You can. You can.
Then I will do that because you know what, I'm a runesmith.
Exactly, you are. So spend the fate point, and this gives you success with style.
Yeah.
So you
we
get
have
2
2.
free invokes. Lighter than you think, with 2 free invokes. Yeah.
So in the fiction, do we all feel like a little bit kind of anti-gravity around us? Like what's it like for us, Lars?
Yeah, I think that is what I'm doing. I will. I mean, not so much to the zebra. I think the zebra is fine on its own. That has claws that can use to climb the walls, right?
Vicious. Well, it's remember the zebra's made as a beast that can go anywhere. Yeah, so it has climbing claws expressly made for climbing.
It's also very heavy. That's what I'm saying, and you are both lighter than a zebra, and so am I. So I will just create some sort of gravity lift that will make us a little light on our feet, so we can. It's like we're in moon gravity, right? And like we can jump a little farther and.
And if you find yourself hanging from some ledge, then it's a lot easier to hang there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so on that basis, then let's have Zenobia, because Lars is focusing on maintaining this effect on gravity. So Zenobia, let's have you roll for the group with the athletics then, for how swiftly you make progress through the basement tunnels of the ice fortress. Cool. I think difficulty is, because there's because of the numbers, I difficulty is 3.
And just give me a sense of like, the terrain here.
Yeah.
Like what is the challenge that we're
so I think that when Vicky, said, no, the tunnel is here somewhere, and ultimately, I think Vicky probably punches through a sheet of ice to get you into the basement tunnel.
Yeah, nice. She draws her mace and proceeds to batter through about a foot of ice and kick the pieces out of the way.
And this takes you into a surprisingly regular circular cross-section tunnel. And as you make your way along this tunnel, you discover that there are tunnels going off it laterally, but also vertically up into the tower structure. And so I think what we're seeing here are a set of icy circular cross-section tunnels. They are ribbed in a slightly unusual way, almost like a corkscrew. And that gives you some handholds.
Yeah.
But it is about just making as swift a progress as you can, because poor old Lars is just suffering a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Zenobia sniffs a little bit at these tunnels. She's like, well, certainly more rustic than the Ascendant Castle, I'd say.
Vicky says, they say these were iceworm tunnels at one point.
Zenobia, I would quite like you to roll notice, please. What do you notice as you begin to make the ascent?
Okay, so I just hit the dice. Should I count that as my athletics?
No, count that as your athletics. Absolutely.
Right,
sorry,
cool.
It was just a sudden mention of something called an iceworm that kind of just dropped something into my brain.
I am up to notice in a moment. So my athletics was 0, but I got a 5 on the dice. You said the challenge rating was 3.
Yeah. So this is success. In fact, not quite success with style, but I'm just wondering whether you want to push the boat out to get to the success with style.
So if I find an aspect to spend a fate point on, I could get to success with style.
Yeah.
You can use the lighter than you think.
You can use the
Oh, you can
Oh, are
use
those
the-
free
yeah.
invokes?
Yeah, they're free
Yeah.
invokes. You've
There,
got
there are
Oh,
three.
yeah.
There are 3 free invokes sitting on the table.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll use one of the free invokes and get success with style. That seems like a good idea.
fine. And that means that you don't just make good progress, you make remarkable progress. And I think that, as I remember, that succeed, and so you have a boost, right, as well. So we've used one of the licenses.
What is a boost
A
cash
boost-
out to?
A boost is the same as a free invoke on an aspect, but you don't have to say what the aspect is. And
Nice.
it's kind of more transitory. It's more freeable in as much as if you move further up, the boost may disappear.
Cool.
So if you left the tunnels,
possibly I'll use it on this notice if you'd still like me to make that roll.
wouldn't that be interesting? So
Yeah.
let's have you do that thing.
All right, what's the difficulty of the notice?
I think the difficulty is again 3.
Okay, so the dice zero out. My notice is +2. I'll go ahead and take that boost.
Okay, so that boost gets you into success. And what I think I can tell you is that yes, when you examine this corkscrewing pattern through it, it really is remarkably regular. But in certain places, you notice what could be, is spine too strong a word? Something between a hair and a spine, just caught in the grooves, as though something was kind of wound close to it and left a little something behind.
Go ahead and pluck one of those little spines to take a close look at.
Let's have you roll law. And I think I'm prepared to have Lars's law give you a bonus on this.
Yeah, I would like to help
I
because
mean,
that is interesting. I'm cold, but it's still interesting, you know?
It is
Yeah,
pretty
it's-
obscure knowledge, this. So I think that the difficulty is 4.
Okay, it's one of these things where like Zenobio's looking at this thing and then like over her shoulder, like Lars pops up.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
That.
what do you make of this? This was embedded into this corkscrew pattern here.
Looks like it's part of something organic, maybe something that lived once. It's not husk. It's not from one of the husks though. And then I wait for you to roll before I continue blathering.
My roll went badly. This is -1 on the dice.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
-1, your law together was 3.
Mhm.
So that's difficulty 4.
You're
somewhere.
you're down 2 so far.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. I've got +2, Laura, right?
You got
Yeah.
+2.
Yeah, you need to.
Laura, so it's a Lars's
Sorry,
help
no, I
bumps
did
it
tell
to
you,
3.
didn't I, that Lars would bump that up. So
Mhm.
you've got 3 law to play with. -1 on the dice moves that to 2 versus my 4 is a deficit of 2 for a tie.
What's a good aspect here?
Can we use one of Thorian's?
I was going to say, what about
If you can justify it. Yep.
Pilgrim of the Rad-folk tribe on a voyage
Yeah.
of discovery. Maybe he
Right.
discovered something.
Mhm.
Fine. Who's going to spend the fate point to invoke that?
I'll do it. I've got
You've
the
got-
fate points to spend.
You have fate points to
I
burn,
mean,
Zenobia.
it's your role, so I think you have to.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
I spend a fate point to, and I like, call on Thorian as well. I'm like, Thorian, if you can hear us and respond to us, does this ring any bells for you?
And I think that Vicky kind of thought iceworms, and I think that Thorian picks that up and amplifies it back at Vicky with an image, and that he's able to transmit to all of you, which is are these large grub-like creatures with spiny, abrasive surfaces that are used have a natural habitat of boring through ice. And so I think it is fair to say that these tunnels look in very good condition. That spine does not look like it's been here for generations. I think it is a reasonable assumption that there are iceworms, or at least one iceworm, at work in these tunnels maintaining them. Okay.
Yeah. So we note that. I guess the question becomes, can we establish anything that would, give us a way to communicate with, or otherwise turn to our advantage, this iceworm or worms?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think that you the very fact you phrase it almost incites me to say to Lars, suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, remember, these are iceworms. They remind me of the sandworms I've read about, and the sandworms are ridden by some of the desert people out there. They are not dragonfolk, but vaguely similar. And I think I remember some stuff. Just let me. My brain is frozen. Let me just try to make sense of my brain.
Zenobia pulls out like a little vial that appear of like some kind of like amber orange liquid, right? And she's like, "What? Maybe this will warm your brain up."
Oh, I don't know what it is. I'm ready to try anything.
Hammer. This is hammer wine.
So Zenobia, just explain to the audience what it is that you've just produced.
Oh, it's some kind of something brewed in the Rested Ridge for those harsh winter nights, just to kind of fill people with a little warmth and a little like slightly manic energy.
Now technically your best that money can buy stunt is the way I read it, it's kind of targeted at you, but I think in this I think it's too cool not to allow Lars to use it.
Other idea? Why don't you just create an aspect with her resources?
Yeah, I'm up to roll.
You don't have to use a stand. You can just use resources. That's true.
To do this, should I go ahead and give that a go?
Give that a go. Let me think. Difficulty. This is pretty obscure stuff. The chance of you having brought something that fits this really neatly, I think difficulty is 4.
All right. -1 on the dice, but +4 resources. I can push that up.
I have an idea for a cost. If we use success at a cost, I mean that could inebriate me if I drink it and give me the aspect inebriated for you to invoke against me, basically.
How are we feeling about that? Like that would so Alan, would you entertain success at a cost
cool
if we
one. Yeah,
leave the dice where they lie here?
Yeah. I mean, so we create a condition called inebriated with 1 free invoke.
But also an advantage called warmed up brain or something.
Yeah. I've got this vague
everything is so clear now.
I've got a vague recollection of a cyberpunk game where there was a drug called Brown Study, which was just focus.
The Lucidrine was the one I've heard of. Yeah.
So you've got that in play. That will cancel. I mean, so I'm going to spend a fate point to hostilely invoke the fact that you are a dragonfolk in the cold, Lars.
Okay.
You're going to cancel that out with the elixir that that Alexi has given you.
I will accept the compel.
Fine.
Or you're hostile.
No, I'm hostile invoking, so I'm going to. So just take a fate point.
I take a fate point. I like fate points.
I mean, technically at the end of the scene, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. Fine. Okay, then I'll roll with lore, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what's my difficulty?
I think difficulty is 4. Because this is pretty obscure stuff.
Yeah.
And you're also working on a kind of, well, I've heard stories about so that suggests maybe we might be able, blah.
Yeah. I have a 4 because I'm lore. No, yes, and I roll +1, so I'm at 4, so it's a tie.
I'll give you something at a minor cost.
You have a cool minor cost there.
Yeah, you're in a tough narrative spot. You hear something. vibrating through the walls. So
okay.
there is an iceworm in transit.
Okay, I'll take
Um,
that.
But I'm prepared to put the ball in your court in terms of what Zenobia asked you. Is there some way we can communicate with or talk to or control? Or so what do you think you want to try?
Well, I think I think what they do and what works is basically they ride them, they get up on them, and then the worms try to shake them off, and if they can, then the worms will accept that they now have a rider. I think that takes immense skill and training and stuff like that, so I don't see how we could do it.
He laughs.
And so I think what we will see is that you've made your way up through the tower to a point where you've reached a kind of a point where there is a lateral crossroads and a continued route up. But coming down one of the lateral tunnels towards you is this slightly elongated grub. And the way it seems to work is that it moves around the tunnel, so it's not filling the tunnel. And I suppose the question is, the tunnels are 15 feet or more high. It's probably 5 feet wide. It's corkscrewing around the outside, cleaning the walls of the tunnel, maintaining the walls of the tunnel, stopping the accretion of ice, blocking the tunnels. So there is, in theory, an opportunity here for someone to seek to ride the iceworm.
Well then, I'll take it.
I think what this is going to take is athletics to get in the right position, and then we'll see if you can assert your will over it with ride.
All right.
Vicky, be careful, okay?
This, I will.
And when you're gone, I'm looking at Zenobia and I'm saying, this is not being careful what she's doing right
now. Okay.
Before you make the roll, I just want to go to Zenobia, because Zenobia, this is the kind of first non-hostile, non-slightly sulky interaction that you've had with Vicky since you discovered that she'd known some stuff that you had to find out for yourself. How does the audience know that something's changed, or maybe the thin veneer of disdain that you've been wearing recently has begun to crack? Apart from what you've said, is there anything? Is there any look? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I think there's only so long she can maintain a distance from this person who's the last kind of thing she has left, as far as confidant and surrogate family member. So I think she reaches out, just like touches Vicky's shoulder as she's calling for her to not take a risk that's more foolish than the base level risk of trying this.
How do we see Vicky then respond to that and then prepare to run at the iceworm?
Vicky puts her hand on top of Zenobia's gently, and looks at her briefly and says, "Don't worry, Your Highness, your most devoted servant has no intention of abandoning you. Not now or ever."
And then how do we see you prepare to run at the iceworm, Vicky?
Vicky assesses the corkscrewing motion of the iceworm and kind of, paces off a spot, the right waiting spot where it's going to come around in the tunnel. Plants her feet, both hands out, intent, ready, and her face almost without thought breaks into a smile.
And that's where, on that smile, we get our first commercial break. Shall we say until 10 past the hour? Long enough? Okay, see you at 10 past the hour. So we come back again on Vicky's confident smile as she launches herself at this creature. Now, I've defined the iceworms as a hazard. They are unstoppable iceworms, and they are a +5 hazard. So you are going to have to overcome +5 to mount this thing.
Okay. I have an athletics of 1. I rolled +1. That is a 2.
Okay.
So fortunately, I am lighter than I think. And I've learned at this point to compensate for that. So it might be a difficult. So Vicky takes an enormous bound to get this, which is something beyond even her powerful strength under normal circumstances. And of course, it still have the tunnels of the ice fortress, which is something she knows well. She knows how to stand and step in this. So she gives a little stutter step as she watches the iceworm picks her moment, and she leaps up just as it is plunging straight through where she is going to be. And at the last moment, she reaches a hand down and grabs the crest on the back of its head, and pulls herself into position on the back of this beast, which, while it is something she has never done before that she can recall, all of her instincts tell her what to do, her built-in things, as she now tries to bring the thing under control.
Fine. So again, +5, unstoppable iceworm. So let's have you try to ride this iceworm. And is your objective to bring it to a halt, or to divert it down one of the side passages away from the direction that?
No, this is our ticket in.
Oh, you want to turn it into a mount for everyone?
Correct.
Oh my. Okay, let's have you do that thing.
Way to arrive in style, right?
All right. That's not a good roll, so let me see what I can do here.
Yeah, that is looking like a -3 to me.
It is looking like a -3, which would leave me at a 1.
Consider spending a fate point for a reroll.
I'm going to spend a fate point for a reroll.
On
Okay.
which aspect?
Zhefra Rider, of course.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I am built to ride. I just don't know. I yank on something. Okay, that didn't hurt. Now, whatever that I pull on something that I think might trouble this beast, and I'm going to say, for narrative purposes, it just irritates it and tries to scrape me off.
Indeed, it does. So let's hope this rather goes better. Oh, that is just -2 on the dice.
No, not a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to have to exert myself massively, which is I'm going to invoke. I can't invoke Zhefra Rider again.
I don't think that makes much sense, if I'm honest. I think you're looking for something that approach did not work.
I am not going to fail Zenobia.
Zenobia's friend and protector. Spend a fate point.
And I could invoke served in the icequake tundra, but I'm actually going to use my last free aspect.
What have you got in mind?
Which is I am not permitted to fail.
Okay.
And I very much intend the connotation of that.
So you're spending 2 fate points to invoke 2 aspects to gain a success, which means that it doesn't scrape you off. You are riding the iceworm. Now, whether the others are going to be able to maintain, because they're not riders, it's going to take athletics from them to ride this thing.
You can
direct
bring it to a halt.
You could bring it to a halt.
Yes.
And give them a chance to get where they're going. But once it starts, I just want to make it clear, once it starts going, they are going to have to roll against that +5 hazard to ride it.
Oof.
I've got a plan.
That's all we need to know, isn't it, Lars? And they have a plan. Okay, so unless anybody wants to, because time is ticking, we are in a hurry. So I'm not. There's no discussion. Zenobia says she's got a plan. Lars, do you go with it?
Anything to get away from these ice thingies. Maybe it's that worm's warm.
Victory is hauling on this worm. It's got her hands under this worm's carapace, just hauling on its hide, with all of her strength. Kind of grim. Teeth bared determination to master this damned animal.
And I think that you have control of it. You can direct it or you can stop it. You've stopped it at the moment. That means that the others can clamber onto it without having to roll. But once you start moving it again, whatever plans Zenobia's got may have to come up trumps. Yeah?
Right. So, yeah, let's do it.
So you all clamber up behind Vicky. And Vicky, are you now aiming to kind of direct this worm upwards?
Up and through.
Okay.
We're going to, at this point, this worm can take us straight to the main chamber, because it can go right through the walls.
Okay.
In a way that it's a giant battering ram, because otherwise I would not have, I would not have exerted such effort to try and master it. It is.
So Zenobia, what is the plan? Because I'm about to ask you and Lars to roll athletics to avoid being ground into the icy walls by the iceworm. So do tell what the plan is.
I see. Yeah. I was thinking of pulling out an expensive device from my bag. And
do tell what this expensive device is.
I pull from bag a pair of elegant gloves, but in fact they are interlaced. They're filled with demiurge technology that allows me to kind of basically magnetically grip to the icy hide of the worm.
And Lars, as you see Zenobia pulling on this expensive pair of gloves and grabbing onto the iceworm, a plan?
Okay, I think I will. What will I do?
Really, the audience thought this was a plan that encompassed more than just Zenobia, but it looks like Zenobia had a very specific plan in mind.
That's very true. I thought that maybe, okay. So
you can hang on to me. It's worth a shot.
Okay, I will. Because Zenobia is human and humans give off body warmth, right? I will hang on to her and be scraped off, of course, because I have neither physique nor athletics, but
Okay. So, Zenobia,
I'll roll first, and if I do well enough, maybe I'll create something that Lars can use, you know?
Who knows? So you're using overcome really to avoid being scraped off as a human smear on the wall of this this tunnel. So go
Yes.
ahead and roll. Because you're doing this, you're using resources
Instead of
for-
athletics.
Instead of athletics.
What's the challenge?
The difficulty is 5.
Uh,
The unstoppable iceworms +5.
Okay. That's a success on the dice because I've got +1 and then +4 for resources.
So you are that is 5 on 5. So you're currently at a tie so this is succeeded a minor cost.
I see.
Or the opposition get a boost. Or the GM applies stress to reflect the extra effort it takes. I'm not going to do that because that is going to be a smear on the wall if we're not careful. So currently you are tied with the difficulty of staying on top of this iceworm.
I see. So, and if I try to push that up, I could get a success without a complication.
Exactly. If you could push it to a success with style, you'd get a boost, which might be then transferred to Lars as they hang on to you. No pressure, Zenobia.
Success with style is all the way. I have to
That's 2 invokes worth.
Yeah.
From where you are now.
What are we? Have we invoked the tunnels of the ice fortress? Is that still?
We've taken the free one on that. Yeah. So there is a fate
But
point
you can invoke it. It's just not free.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'll do it. Right. Like I've got these fate points. Let's spend them. I will.
Well, hang on. Wasn't there a floating boost? No, you used the boost.
I think I put that towards notice.
Yeah.
You did. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I will do 2 invokes to get this up to a success with style. So one of the invokes is invoking the tunnels of the ice fortress. Okay. On the grounds that Vicky's knowledge is enough to the things she's told us along the way are helpful tips. As I'm like, when the ice gets purplish, that's when there's about to be a bunch of dangerous shards. So time to quickly clamber over to the opposite side of the worm. Right.
The other thing I want to stress here is that anything in the world that I describe is an aspect you can invoke. So having seen the way the iceworm moves, you can invoke the iceworm.
Oh, sure. That makes things easy. Yeah, I'll invoke corkscrewing battering ram, right, to working with the bizarre movement of this worm.
Because not only is it corkscrewing, but it is rotating on its axis as well. So you're kind of constantly shuffling around the back of this thing. You know how it works, and that will get you to success with style, which creates a boost. So you hang on, you use, attach, detach, attach, detach, attach, detach, while Lars kind of hangs on for grim death. So Lars, here we go then.
And I'll say that the boost is, if the boost is relevant, it can be, Zenobia reaching out a hand to grab Lars at a critical moment or whatever is necessary there.
Oh, yeah. Lars is grabbing onto you. You are warm. You are human.
I am the boost. All right.
You are just. This is fine. I hope it's fine for you, because of course
Lars.
Yes.
With a difficulty of 5.
Oh wow. Yeah. Sure thing. I can totally do that. Huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I rolled a -4.
Ouch.
Yeah, I think that I could use a lot of fate. I could use the boost to reroll, right? I will do that.
You could use the boost to reroll. So yeah, it looks like it is that kind of grab
basically my best chance of avoiding a shit ton of damage. This is -2 by now. So yeah, still not great.
-2 versus 5 is a difference of 7.
Yep.
So you are currently taking 7 shifts of stress from this, unless you can do something about it.
I wonder, can I do something about it to reduce this to 5? I can. I will invoke the lighter.
Just to explain, the way that hazards as I've been reading about hazards in the book is that if they inflict stress, I can tell you that they do an additional 3 above whatever the dice tell us.
Oh, wow, okay.
So right now you're looking at 10 stress.
That's a lot. That's too much. I have, this is physical stress, right?
I think so, unless you make a case for me that this is,
No,
this is psychological harm.
Physical is fine.
Fear, terror.
Yeah, okay. So, oh,
I
okay.
would allow you to split it so that the basic shifts of damage would be physical, but then fear and loathing could be the bonus that it does.
That's irrelevant actually, because I have to use my stress first, and that would be 3, and I would still look at 7, which is more than a severe. So I will try to reduce that. I will use 1 fate point to invoke the lighter than you think. That is still there, and also the tunnels of the ice fortress. We have some knowledge of where they go, so I would spend a fate point for that. So then we are looking at, I spent 4, so I'm looking at, instead of 7, I'm looking at 3. I'm looking at a moderate consequence, which I can. But my mild is occupied anyway, so. And of course, all of my physical stress is gone as well.
You're not inclined to spend another fate point to invoke the movement of the unstoppable iceworm?
No.
No, fine. Okay, just wanted to check it.
Wait, that would get me to, let me think, that would give me 6 minus 2. No, that would not help me succeed. I would have to use 2 more aspects, and I think that's a little too much. And I feel it's fine, because we had a great plan, and now I have deep scrapes in my scales, and I hate that, but I won't blame her, of course.
Yeah, as it corkscrews away with you hanging on for grim death, we will see some of those tiny golden scales that we've come to recognize on Lars embedded in the ice. And what do you think that consequence is going to look like?
I think the consequences is probably torn skin is a bit too mild, right? This would, I think I have a rather deep tear. I have a, what's the word?
Laceration.
Lacerated back.
Yeah, or
like
let's do scoured arm, because I mean you want to invoke be able to invoke this, and I think scoured arm means that I can very well use it.
Fine.
I was holding on for that sheer life as well. It worked. Well, it worked, basically. I'm still alive.
And I think that's the point at which this scene probably closes out, because now it's about where you're going to get to.
Alan, mechanistically, can I have taken some stress rather than expend the fate when I was mounting the thing? Because,
no, I think I would need you to have succeeded.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Just because Vicky getting scraped up in the process of bringing this thing under control makes perfect sense. And it also give me a fate point rather than none, which would be nice.
Yeah, but I am not permitted to fail. I think that having invoked that, you need to do this, not just do it, but do it well. Okay. So I think I can narratively defend not applying some stress to you.
Okay.
So so let's close out that scene. So erase any stress. I will reset my fate points. So you are moving through the ice fortress. And I guess, Vicky, you're heading towards where Aquata used to hold court.
Yes, that's because that's certainly where the artifacts are displayed. That's certainly where the Cudgel Lord, and he'd never have that very far from him. Because that's an emblem of his power.
Exactly.
You display artifacts like that in order to cow anybody who comes in, to show what a badass you are.
Now, what I'm curious about, Vicky, is your approach, because we all of this started with the idea of using intrusion to get in quietly. You're now riding an iceworm. So I'm curious whether you want the iceworm to drop you off somewhere from where you can make a more stealthy intrusion, Or do you literally want to just have it burst through the wall of the audience chamber?
I think we gotta burst in, right? We
I
can,
think,
we can use
at this
burglary
point,
later when
the
something
best
needs to be
the
stolen,
best laid
right?
the best laid plans of mice and muta warriors needs must, and having acquired a freight train, I think we are going to have to use it to burst in, let surprise and flying ice take the place of stealth.
Fine, that works for me. I think in terms of the Zhefra, which
Because
we
this is a
have not
bloody
dis-
5-point hazard.
it-
May as well inflict it on other people.
I just want to be clear about the Zhefra, that there's no way the Zhefra has ridden the iceworm.
No.
What I'm going to assume is that you have told the Zhefra, follow me.
Yes.
And if we need the Zhefra to appear in scene, then you will be using your ride, that subsonic whistle that you've perfected to make
Yes.
sure that they arrive, or not. Fine. Boom. Tell me what this looks like. Let me start with Lars. What does it look like from the perspective of the rider as you make an approach through the wall of the audience chamber?
I'm a bit occupied. My arm is torn to bits, and then I'm holding on for dear life. I think I might have failed to notice that we are here now in the throne room. I'm just holding on to Zenobia and hope that the plan becomes good at one point.
Okay, then Vicky, you tell me what it looks like as the camera is your point of view as the worm rider. What does it look like as you approach the dead end that is the wall of the audience chamber?
Yes, so the dead end looms ahead, which is and the ice worm gives off a gentle phosphorescence, which reflects in the oncoming wall of ice, and the worm. I tug on the worm. The worm's hide, urging it forward, and it gives off this kind of supersonic screech, and and we all yell down to everybody, and we flatten ourselves against its carapace as it crashes into this wall of ice. It's actually no, its front has these conical teeth in a little concentric ring, and as it approaches this unbreached wall, normally it's just scraping against the sides, but as it approaches this unbreached wall, its conical mouth opens up to a space that's bigger than its body.
Ooh.
Okay, like one of those giant swallowing fish. So these huge, barbed teeth flare out into this corona that is larger than this body, which is how it makes new tunnels. And so then it hits this wall with this tremendous corkscrewing motion, and ice shards fly. It goes through, and this enormous spray of little ice boulders.
I want to cut at that point.
Okay.
That's what you see from your side.
Yes.
Let me go to Princess Zenobia, because I think a princess is well placed to tell us what this audience chamber in an ice fortress might look like, so that we've got some idea of what this might look like from the other side of the wall. So Zenobia, tell me something about what it looks like in here.
Yeah, got some background noise. Let me know if it's too much. Look, what we know about this place is it used to be ruled by Aquata, who is this like silky smooth necroid cephaloid, right? So like there's a lot left over from that, right? Like strange, black ice sculptures with sinuous curving lines, right? But now it's ruled by the Cudgel Lord, who's just a much more of a blunt instrument as far as masters go. So I think there's a lot of things where he's just like smashed, a throne into one of these more sinuous sculptures and just created a massive dent in it, which is now where his throne is. And kind of similarly, all through the room there are pillars and whatnot, but many of them have chunks just torn or smashed out of them, and that's where the retainers of the Cudgel Lord sit and wait on him, and the waiting often consists of raucousness, right, rather than courtliness.
Yeah. So yes, I think raucous works nicely here. I think that that he has smashed some of the sinuous, probably abstract but sinuous ice sculptures to construct crude chairs for his retainers, and sheets of ice for use as a table, and that is what happens. Lars, what I do want you to describe is what happens to the, there are retainers here, but there are also husks here. Describe what happens to some of the husks as the worm explodes into this space.
I think the husks were basically programmed to get out of the way of the iceworms, right? Because that they were Aquada's servants, and she wouldn't like them to be smashed by an iceworm. That does not make a lot of sense. So they will turn around and amble off quickly, like they were instructed to do, to get out of the way of the iceworm.
I like that. So the first thing that everybody notices in the room is that the husks are backing away from one of the walls. And I think those at the table turn and look, and then in it comes. Okay, Vicky. Once Vicky starts doing anything other than just driving this in a more or less straight line, we're back to athletics to stay aboard, Lars and Zenobia, just so you know. So Vicky, what's the plan? Leap from the ice worm and leave it to its own devices, or do you have something else in mind?
The thing I have in mind, I think everybody, I think the plan is everybody gets off the ice worm, but I'm going to I want to use the ice worm to create as much chaos as possible.
Well, the way I'm prepared to have that happen is that the ice worm becomes a part of the scene. It is an aspect that you can invoke when you want a bit of chaos on something you're doing.
So what I'd like to do is to use my drive to create to create some advantages using the ice worm.
I mean, you can do that if you like, but I'm very happy for you simply to invoke. There is a kind of raging ice worm in the space. Or would you, do you want something specific out of this?
I want, I want to discommode people with flying chunks of ice.
Okay. Let's have you create advantage as a kind of targeted ice worm.
And then we'll let the ice worm go. But I want to use that initial shock. This is basically shock troop warfare, right?
Fine. Fine.
You slam into the enemy to disorganize them, and then you get off and do. It's not a great roll. It's a one.
Sorry. I should have. The difficulty I think here is not great. I think the difficulty is 3.
Okay. Well, that still eludes me.
Oh, really?
Well, I rolled a -3.
Oh, so you did.
The dice have abandoned me today. They were my friends for a while.
So that's failure on create an advantage. So create a new aspect in the scene. Fail. The GM says how things get complicated, or succeed, and the foe gets the free invoke on this. And I will modify the aspect to make that make sense.
I guess it's fail and things get complicated.
Fine.
I think the ice worm finally tears itself loose of my control. Finally, at this point, having managed to urge it to smash through a wall, I just can't you know, I can't manhandle this thing. It was never intended to be ridden.
I have created the aspect, there's an iceworm here, with no free invokes as a result of your failure. So it is going to be in the scene. It doesn't go away, but equally you fail to target it anywhere particular. So that it is there for anyone to invoke. Then Lars and Alex and Zenobia, you are going to need to jump free. I think this isn't a difficult thing, but it is an athletics, just to make sure that you don't land in a heap. So Lars, you're on the back.
Yeah.
So I think you're first to make a jump for it.
Yeah, as soon as I can.
Difficulty is only 2 because getting off an iceworm is relatively straightforward.
Okay. See how I do. I have roll +3, so I fail, but I can use another fate point.
You
You
succeed.
succeed.
I do.
Difficulty is 2. You roll.
Oh yeah. Oh, I heard 4. Yes.
Nimbly leap.
Nimbly. Well, it's not nimble, but I landed a plant heap. Let's say I landed a plant heap. Also, I'm still lighter, so I'm kind of bouncing boom, 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 gently up.
And what do you do?
Look, I think what I'll do is I look around, because we know that the Cudgel Lord has this hammer of the Beast of Umdaar, right? And what I want to do now is I want to figure out, or I want to remember what I know about this thing, and I know about its flaw, because all of the artifacts are flawed in some way. And right now I want to figure out that flaw.
Fine. So you're in your. It sounds like law and or investigate, something like that. Zenobia, I'm going to allow Victory to jump off this without much challenge, because you know that part of the maybe the reason that Victory failed to direct it is that she slipped off, you know, adequately. But Zenobia, you need to get free, and just for fun, I'm going to invoke all artifacts are flawed. For you to discover that, you know, those gloves, they're surprisingly sticky.
Oh dear. I see.
So that's a hostile invoke. You will get a fate point at the end of this scene, but that turns the difficulty of 2 into a difficulty of 4.
Okay, but for the purposes of my roll, is my stunt still in effect, where I'm rolling resources rather than athletics for this?
I closed that previous scene to give you your stress back. So I'm afraid not. We're in a new scene. You will need to
see. I hadn't taken any stress. No, I can't. It's a once per session stunt.
Oh yeah, no. Then I think that bolt is shot.
Okay, so that brings me down to rolling with athletics against a difficulty of 4.
Unless you can come up with something else to do.
And this is to.
I tell you what I'll do, because I'm just a
off
nice
of
kind of guy.
Oh yeah. All right. Tell me what you're going to do.
I think that when you discover this is you're stuck. Can you stave off the sense of panic?
or can I get?
Well, leave. I've got a plan. So let Zenobia see if she can deal with the plan.
All right.
I think that this is about will. Can you stave off the panic of the provoke attack that a +5 hazard to which you are stuck engenders?
And if I stave off the panic,
you will be on the ground away from the iceworm until I invoke it against you all again.
Great. Okay, cool. Then it's just about keeping a level head here, because of course the iceworm wants us off, right? Like dismounting an iceworm is always the easy part. The question is, can I do it without losing my nerve, given that my stupid expensive gloves are sticking to this thing?
Exactly. And this hazard constitutes a +5 provoke attack against your will.
Well, my will gets a +2 because I am indomitable.
So you are.
Let me refresh the rolling page and see if the dice agree that I can handle this.
Oh, they sure do.
They do.
Wow, look at
They
that.
do.
That's
Cool
5 on
as
the
a
dice.
cucumber.
5 on the dice, 4 for will, 9 against my 5 is success with style.
Yeah. So
What does
I
that
think
look like, Zenobia?
I think like there's a moment of incipient panic, and then she like in her head she's like, no, you are the heir of the Ascendant Castle. You are a princess. You are going to enter this audience chamber with grace and authority. And so that's what she does, right? Like she like takes a breath, like slips her hands out of the gloves, right? And just like slides off the worm to like land in a position that commands attention in this room.
I have to say, I'm seeing a 3-point superhero landing.
No, I think it's like a sticks the landing in gymnastics.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because she has to have an upright bearing.
Right.
She does.
You know,
She does.
Fur-lined
She's-
cloak
she-
billowing
she's-
around her.
So there is a kind of wild iceworm in the room. There are a number of husks, and there are the Cudgel Lord and his retainers, some of whom are
Cool.
dangerous, some of whom are cowering behind sinuous black ice sculptures. So,
What do I get for success with? Is it just
Oh,
like a cool
sorry,
description I get for
no,
success with style, or do I get to create an
indeed
aspect?
get a boost? So you
A
have
boost.
a
Cool,
boost
cool, cool.
to build on here.
I
So I
will
asked
note that.
Lars what he was doing, and he's kind of trying to summon up what is it. Is there anything that he can dredge up about this artifact of the Cudgel Lords? What do you want to do, Zenobia? And then I'll ask Victory what she wants to do, and then we'll move on to some mechanics and what happens next.
Yeah, I turned my gaze towards the Cudgel Lord and call out, false master, your reign here is at an end. Hand over the hammer, and we will spare you. If not, my friend here will feed you to the worm.
I mean, that sounds like provoke.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So let's
Unless
unleash-
it's deceive because I'm exaggerating the amount of control we have over the worm.
I'm prepared to have you try to use deceive as provoke if that's where you're angling here.
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Now there is a rule about this that I just do need to check.
I think it's basically like just you can use deceive for provoke or rapport until and unless your deception is like exposed, and then you stop being able to do that
then
substitution.
You're in difficulties. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if you can get away with it. See if you can make him believe. So you're attacking his will.
Yes.
With your deceive. His will is 4.
All right. So that becomes the difficulty.
That's the difficulty you're aiming at.
And it's the sort of thing where I'd be like inflicting stress on
mental stress on him.
Yeah.
Is there a way I can help with that?
I think in the moment you told me what you were doing, which is why I went round once just to see. So I think narratively Zenobia is acting. So go for it, Zenobia.
Let's see how it goes. Okay, -1 on the dice, +3 from deceive.
-2 currently.
Currently at 2, and so you're down 2.
Yeah, so I'm at 2, but down 2 against his.
Yeah, against his.
I'll use my boost for my impressive landing.
Yeah, because that would give you a tie, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So a tie on attack defend is you gain a boost. So you don't do any harm, you don't cause him any stress, but you do maintain that kind of poise or something similar.
I think I gotta push that higher.
Okay.
I guess I'm invoking the aspect of there's a rampaging iceworm in this room. I'll spend a fate point to kind of add that to my deception, where like the chaos we have unleashed helps me sell that we are a true threat, and it isn't clear yet that we no longer really have control over it.
Exactly so, and I think that causes 2 points of mental stress on the Cudgel Lord, because he is conscious that there is a rampaging iceworm in the room, and you just said that it's coming for him. So yeah, that does nudge his confidence a little bit. Now, Vicky, Zenobia acted. I'm going to come to Lars last because Lars is thinking about stuff. So Vicky, what are you going to do?
Zenobia's attempt to overawe the Ice Lord is prime. So Vicky pulls her mace, and protects Zenobia from threat. She goes completely into guardian mode.
Fine. That's good, because the Cudgel Lord's principal bodyguard, Fist, is about to throw an ice sculpture at you. So I'm going to use his her. I'm going to spend a fate point to activate a stunt. Oh, I'm running down my fate points too quickly. I'm going to invoke the stunt hurl. May spend a fate point to use physique to throw a heavy object at an opponent. So this heavy object is coming your way. Physique is +5. So how do we see you defend against that, Victory?
I am Victory is going to hold off and smash the thing as it comes in.
I was wondering if you wanted to use danger instincts, but I
actually can I use both of my stunts?
That's an interesting question. Once per session, you may use any physical skill as if it was notice or athletics to avoid or defend against a threat, even one you didn't see coming. So this could be, for instance, using a physical skill. I might even allow drive to apply.
Well, or alternatively, I'll use inhumanly strong.
Okay.
This is a physical obstacle.
Yeah.
Can I parse that to use physique? To defend against?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
they use.
So I'm going to try to. I'm going to catch this.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if you catch without harm.
Yeah. Vicky digs in and to actually catch this, 300, this, 200 or 300 pound thing that.
Can I just say
Fist is thrown? The
only thing that makes me think you have to hit it is because if successful, you place a debris situation aspect on the scene with no free invoke. So that does suggest something is going to be smashed.
Okay. Well, it may have smashed if I try to catch it, or
okay. Let's
toss it to one side or something. But here.
Fine. So target is 5. You are defending with physique +2.
Okay. So I got a -1. So I got a 3.
Okay, so this is going to do 2 harm on you.
Okay. It smashes against me.
Fine. It doesn't smash because you weren't successful, unless you want to do some invocations that can bump that up.
Okay. Yeah. So no, I catch it and it basically drives me. It's a tremendous effort to stop the thing. And then it falls to the ground, but Vicky is clearly winded from having blocked this enormous thing from hitting Zenobia.
Okay, Lars, let's have you go with lore. I think is probably your preference in terms of what you might have been able to work out.
Definitely.
From conversations with the marmots, working from basic principles about artifacts. Let's have you roll lore. I'm going to make the difficulty 3.
Okay. I'm at -2 on this roll. I've got 3 fate points left. This is fine. Okay, so I will use. I mean, I'm a runesmith. I know from artifacts, right? So I'm at. Let me see. I was at 1. Now I'm at 3. And I will also use the world aspects, all artifacts are flawed, to spend another fate point to get me to +2.
Fine. I can. This sounds like you're trying to discover an aspect of the of the Skull Crusher,
Yes.
of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that it is called the Hammer of the Beasts of Umdaar. You remember that the demiurge sometimes connected a powerful artifact with a cost, and the cost, the Beast of Umdaar. I think that I'm going to give you an aspect on the hammer, and I think the aspect is beware the beast.
That I find that very unusable.
Okay,
to be honest, because how would I use that for anything?
Then the flaw is that are you looking for a physical flaw in it, or because I know what the flaw is. Should I just tell you what the flaw is?
Yeah, that might be useful. And we can create an aspect out of that.
Okay, so the flaw is that the wielder becomes bestial.
Ooh, wow, okay. That is okay, that is very good, because we might use that against the wielder, actually, the Cudgel Lord. So yeah. I mean, you can use a longer aspect, wielder becomes a beast. Yeah,
I think I tell you what, let me call it raises the bestial.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds
that
operational.
Now that I understand what it means, I can use it.
Fine. So that is what you dredge out of your memory. Meanwhile, yes, a small cute fox. Let's hope it's just that. So let me go back round to Zenobia. Vicky has stopped incoming ice sculpture, but you can see that Fist is reaching for more large chunks of ice to send your way. What do we see you doing, Zenobia? Are you going to rely on victory to field the ice, or do you have anything else in mind?
What's the Cudgel Lord's reaction to this whole thing been so far?
I think the Cudgel Lord is standing there. He's got this two-handed hammer in hand, and I think because of what your successful deceive, I think he is keeping an eye on where that worm is.
So he's tracking the worm.
He is, because if you can direct it, he wants to make sure the hammer gets to the worm before the worm gets to him. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Command me, princess.
Sorry, sorry, I missed that. Repeat it.
Vicky says, without tearing her eyes away from the thread, she says, "Command me, princess."
I say, keep them busy. Keep him afraid. We have to look like we're in control here.
Okay. And then what do you do, Zenobia?
I'm gonna do a little warning shot. I'm sure the Cudgel Lord can take it. So I'm just gonna throw a dagger into his shoulder. As a like, you have to take us seriously gesture.
Okay. let's have you roll then. Is this shoot using the Moonsteel daggers? Is that what we're looking at here?
It is, yeah. And I'll call their name aloud as I say, yep. You don't know where. Are you trying to figure out who you're dealing with? Taste Moonsteel and know we're bringing the wrath of the Rested Ridge, and you do not stand a chance. So here we go.
Now, I am
daggers.
curious here. Are you building on the provoke deceive here and just using the daggers as a mean to that end, or are you looking to do? Because I'm just wondering if you're looking to do more mental stress, or you want to split your stress to physical.
You know, it's probably more strategic to go for mental stress. I just want to throw my daggers though.
Well, yeah, but you can do that. You know, the daggers become an invoke on the daggers to make the provoke stick.
You're cool. So you're cool with this being a provoke, even
deceive.
Yeah. It's deceiving him by throwing a dagger.
Well, no, you peg it into the ice right over his forehead, kind of thing.
Yeah,
where it's like
worried.
The next one could go into your neck.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about harrying him. Sure.
Because you're saying keep him off balance, keep him frightened. Well, you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm very happy for the daggers to just be a dressing on deceive.
Cool. Then let's keep the deceive train rolling then.
Until it stops.
What's his will?
His will is a whole 4.
A whole 4. Okay, that is that's a 0 add on the dice plus 3 deceive. I will invoke the Moonsteel daggers to push that to a success.
So if NPC could be harmed, NPC takes effort as stress, so you do another point of mental stress on him. You ask the deceive. He's now torn between the keeping an eye on where the worm is, and this dagger kind of hits sticks into the ice beside his head, and you're still talking the trash talk at him.
Yeah, and as he looks at the dagger, I'll do the thing where I snap my fingers, the dagger reappears in my hand. I say, "There's more where that came from."
That keeps him off balance. I'm going to go to Lars next and then come to Victory, because I have to tell you that we know that Fist is reaching for more furniture.
Oh, yeah.
So Lars, what do we see you doing at this point?
I think I'll do the same thing that Zenobia is doing, hit the same spot, because I have a stun that lets me conjure frightening images, and I can use Deceive to make long-range magical attacks. So I will do that. I will conjure into my hands these large lances, basically made of shadows, and let them just grow a little larger, and stand beside Zenobia and kind of flare my head thingy, my head shield, and I don't think I need to yell at him. I will just let them grow larger, and maybe Zenobia's shadow as well, right? Oh no, I'll just do it with Zenobia's shadow. He's already scared of her, so Zenobia's shadow becomes larger, and these daggers that she has get this aura of shadow around them, and I will attack his will, and then with my deceive.
Go for it. So will is 4. I was just about to invoke a stunt called Frozen Heart, but I find that it's only good for improving will against rapport attacks.
Yeah, we're not trying to have any rapport.
No, you're not trying to melt his heart, are you?
No.
Not trying to appeal to him, his better nature, because he doesn't have one.
Well, that's clearly the case. So let's have you attack his will of 4 with this deceive.
Okay,
this invocation of his fearfulness.
Well, okay, I'm at a 3, and I will use my last fate point, because I am a fucking runesmith.
Exactly.
And also my grandma is that is not helping. Oh, maybe it is. I'll use my grandma as a warden of the Pit of Pain. I know how to scare people. She's taught me.
Yeah. You thought that she was scaring bad people, but now you know different, but that still knows you still know how to scare people. So
I mean, she also was scaring bad.
okay, so what does that leave you in terms of final
It's
shift?
a one shift.
Okay, so
positive
that
shift.
applies another mental stress to the
Mhm.
Cudgel Lord, who is you know, he's shouting at Fist now. Finish them. Vicky, Fist throws another piece of sculpture at you. That's an incoming physique of 5.
Yes, I want my Zebra. So you will let me know when it shows up.
Well, you know, are you just ducking and weaving while you summon the zebra? Because at the moment there is incoming furniture.
Yes, that's what I am doing.
Fine. So let's, if you succeed with any kind of style on this, I'll allow you to also call the zebra, and your level of success will tell you how quickly it arrives. Fair?
Fair.
Okay.
So I'll use my danger instinct, I guess.
Okay.
So
I can't remember what that does. So
lets me substitute any appropriate physical skill for athletics.
Fine. So this is using physique to physique then, or drive.
I use drive.
Yeah, fine. I'll let you do that, because if this goes really well, maybe the zebra arrives and just knocks it out of the way. Oh, that is
my
-3.
dice are as cold as the icequake tundra.
You were doing so well last time as well.
Well, last time was fine. This time I haven't rolled a positive number.
So that's -3. Your drive is 4, so you're on +1 against an incoming piece of furniture at +5.
5.
So that's 4 incoming stress.
Okay, well, that's going to max out my stress and give me a mild consequence.
So is there anything you can do?
No, I don't think so.
No, because I'm
already used my stunt. I already used my stunt.
Okay, so that is 4. Is that a moderate?
It's a mild. It's a mild.
It's a mild
stress for meaning.
Okay. So you max out your physical stress. You take a mild consequence, which I think is impaled with ice. Because maybe you do stop it, but this time it does shatter, and shards of ice, you know, pin into Victory. This is all looking very difficult, guys.
One question, I forgot that I have this aspect, right? Beast Rising. Could I have used that with my scary? I'm so scary attack.
You could.
And because I discovered it was a free invoke, right? So I would have done that, and and give him 3 stress, which I hope will lead to a consequence finally.
Sadly not. You just maxed out his stress track.
Wow, how much stress does this guy
he's a boss.
He's a master, you know?
It's a boss battle.
So things are looking a bit scary here. Now, I will remind you folks, you know, there is the concede rule in Fate, which means that if at any point you think that this is getting too hot to handle, you can concede, you describe how you escape this situation to fight another day, and you will get a fate point for any consequence that you absorbed, that that is currently in play. So I will remind you of that rule, because it's an important one in Fate. But look, it is 10 past the hour. I'm going to suggest we take a break. Is until 1/4 long enough? Just to, you know, because this is the point where everything seems to be going pear-shaped, that we would have a commercial break. I'll see you at 1/4 past the hour. So we left for our commercial break with the champions of Umdaar under the cosh, frankly. But as during that commercial break, the writers have been thinking about where could this story go next. Lars, I'm inclined to offer you a compel. I'm particularly taken with it because you've got no fate points to buy it off with.
Yes.
Intensely curious about knowledge and lore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So far, you've stood off. Mm-hmm. You really need to get a close look at that hammer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure thing. We want this thing, right? And we need to use it. And I have to. I have to get a closer look at this hammer. So I'll cloak myself in shadows and sneak off to, I don't know, do whatever, right?
And I've also been thinking, you know, Vicky, so far you're really not permitted to fail, are you?
No.
And at the minute you're playing a passable defense at best. You know, I mean, passable. I'm inclined to compel I am not permitted to fail to mean you need to take action, not just hold it off. Yeah, you can try waiting for the zebra, but there comes a point in the affairs of Mutawarriors when you kind of have to, if you can't win, you need to fail gloriously.
Yes.
Yeah. So you need to go on the offense, is what I'm saying to you if you want to take this compel.
I'll take it, and I will.
I'm
tired of being a target.
And finally, Princess Zenobia.
Yes.
I'm inclined to invoke the all artifacts are flawed compel at you, which is that if you take this compel, the Moonsteel daggers disappear for this scene.
Hmm.
Do you want to manage without them?
Leaving me unarmed?
No, leaving you with lots of mundane bits and pieces. That's not a problem. You can always, you've always got a dagger.
Yeah.
Just the returning nature of the magical Moonsteels. That's what the flaw is that the last time you cast them, they all left and they didn't come back. You can see them stuck in the ice.
Mm-hmm. I'll take the compel.
Okay, fine. So the princess is without her magical daggers. Victory is feeling the urge to go on offense, not defense. And Lars, the attraction, if you could maybe just touch the hammer, that might tell you something. So that is what I'm invoking, compelling rather at this point. So with that in mind, let's start this time with Vicky. How do we see Vicky go on offense?
Vicky, so I say enough of this. If you want to fight, you'll have one.
Well, Fist seems quite happy to just throw furniture at you, large, dense, icy furniture. And
I understand that.
Do you want to provoke them into attacking you, or do you want to rush them?
I'm going to rush them.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to treat that as athletics to get to them, unless you want to try and remount the iceworm and ride at them. Just asking.
If it means I can use the iceworm as a weapon, yeah.
Well, it means you can use drive as a skill.
Yes. Am I still doing it against the the hazard of the iceworm?
You are still doing it against the hazard of the iceworm. Though I think that probably now various husks. The reason we've not heard from the iceworm yet is that the husks in the room have been commanded to hold it off. And so it is flailing about at these various husks, throwing its weight at one, crushing two. So the husks, I think, are occupying it. I'm going to reduce the difficulty of this hazard from 5 to 3.
And then I'll try it.
Leap upon the iceworm.
I'm a mounted warrior, damn it.
You are.
I am, I was created to do that. And I have a +1.
Roll a dice.
I did. I got a +1.
Oh, I see. Right. There you go. So
and so I have a 5 altogether.
You have a 5. You are mounted on the iceworm. But I'm going to impose, because you are going to get some incoming flack from Fist. So I'm just going to put, no, I won't. No, I won't do that to you. I'll leave it where it is. Meanwhile, Lars, how do we see you trying to get close to the hammer?
May I use my stunt to attack immediately?
Oh, the charge.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, no, that's fine. I'll come to Lars in a moment because that is fair, because it does require, I use drive to overcome a physical obstacle then and move a zone. I may immediately make an attack with fight once per scene. No, do that.
Okay.
Fight against, I guess it's their own fight at this point, which is 4.
Oof. That's a -1, so I have a 2. You said the iceworm's difficulty was a 3, right? Getting on it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll spend my fate point to tie it up.
Fine. So on a tie, when you are seeking to attack something, you will get a boost.
Right.
So you don't take any harm. You don't.
I think he dives for cover as the iceworm comes crashing through.
Yeah. Suddenly, the iceworm is beginning to do what all along the Cudgel Lord has worried it's going to do. Lars, how do we see you getting close to the Cudgel Lord? Oh, you are muted.
Damn it. There's a lot of chaos in the room, so I'll just, cloak myself in shadows and just sneak up.
Fine. So that sounds like stealth.
It is.
Or does it? Yeah. Okay. So
basically, yeah. I think that's basically stealth. Stealth is fine.
So stealth. I as you say, there is chaos. I think difficulty is just 2 here.
Okay.
Because nobody's looking for you unless you want to kind of be found.
I did it. I have a 4.
4 against 2 is success by 2. Can I tempt you to success with style?
No, I have this one fate point. I feel I can use it for better stuff than just stealthing myself.
And what I'm imagining is in the shadow of the pile of ice that comprises the Cudgel Lord's throne. There we see the eyes of our runesmith. Princess Zenobia. What do we see you doing? I will remind you that you maxed out the Cudgel Lord's mental stress with your various attempts to deceive and provoke him into just not being concerned, being worried, being frightened even.
Yeah, I think I gotta hit it harder. However, can I ask, is it legit to self-compel one of my aspects if I feel like I'm probably making things more complicated for myself?
Well, you tell me what you got in mind. I'll tell you whether that complication is big enough, or I might suggest a way to boost it a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm trying to appear a master of the situation, stalking forward, saying to the Cudgel Lord, I don't even need these daggers. You see, my Mutaworrior has the iceworm. Your forces are fracturing. You are going to give us that hammer, and then I don't even care. Tell my father I'm coming for him next. Call him up on your secret master phone. Let him know he's not safe in the castle, in the Ascendant Castle. So
that is such a rebellious scion of a master.
Yeah, that's my thought of
and what I just to add a little flesh to the narrative, what I'm seeing you are walking up the table towards the head of the table to confront the Cudgel Lord.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give you that self-compel because you are putting yourself in harm's way, frankly, in a way that so far you haven't. And you're going to carry on milking the deceive. I am more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
I think so, right? Like she's just her whole approach here is make the Cudgel Lord think he's the underdog, and see if she can get away with this.
Will is 4.
Let's do it. You know what? I'm gonna immediately spend that fate point to re-roll those dice because I do not like those numbers.
That is a -4 on the dice. That is a good number not to like.
Okay, turned it into a tie on the dice. So
Well,
now I've
that's
got
your 3 against his 4.
3 deceive against 4 will. Do we have any free invokes lying around?
No. I mean,
I have a boost.
Vicky had a boost, which was seeing his bodyguard dive out of the way. So if Vicky's cool with it,
Yeah, no, Vicky turns the iceworm towards him. You know, at the end of that plunge,
Okay.
and screeches a war cry.
So yeah, it does look like the battle just turned on a sixpence.
Yeah. All right, cool. And that hopefully adds to the intimidation factor.
It does. It does. It turns your failure by 1 into a success by 1. So normally you would do 1 point of mental stress to him. He has no mental stress left. It's overflowed into a mild consequence.
If I turn this into a success with style, would that make the consequence more severe?
He's got a mild, a moderate, and a severe. So I guess that if you could turn this +1 into a +3, that would force him to use the moderate consequence.
What do we think? Should I spend 1 more fate point to try to do that? Because I don't like does a moderate consequence give us like some leverage to try and finish the fight with him is the question.
I mean, the moderate consequence means he's closer. It's easier to do another mild consequence if the moderate's already taken. And he might concede if he has a mild and a moderate filled. We don't know that. It's possible. And also a consequence comes with its own free invoke. Which
Okay.
is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hurt him.
Let me push it farther, right? Yeah. So the I'm gonna invoke one of our world aspects as I say. Oh, and there's one more thing you should know, Cudgel Lord. Aquata is free.
Yes, goes the audience. So that produces a moderate consequence. I think the Cudgel Lord is past nervous. And I'm going to give him a moderate consequence, which is fear for his future. Yeah. Oh my. Yes. Aquata is free, he cries. And this is the first response you've got from him. And he's kind of looking around the room as if to say, whoa, what do I... maybe discretion and valor are somehow connected here.
Can I do a thing?
Oh, well, wow. There you are, close as you see him kind of begin to look for options.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if he's so scared of Aquata, I feel he should see a shadow image of her, right? And that is basically, and I will whisper in his ear, she's already here and she's here for your hammer. And then this tentacle shape will kind of step out of the shadows.
Can I suggest that behind one of the icy walls, we see the tentacles moving?
Yes.
Yes.
Because there's shadows.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
I'm doing my thing.
Crafting. I think this is crafting.
Yeah, I think it's crafting using shadow.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this is. I think this is using.
Oh, I've got a +2, so I've got 6.
And his will is still 4.
So I make 2, and I will use the consequence against him that he already has. So I will make 4, and that gives him a severe consequence.
Oh my!
Because
and I am going to give him. Panic is a whisper away. And you've had your free invoke on fear for his future. All he has left is a mild consequence. Now, look, I think that mechanically, if he concedes, then he could escape with the hammer. So you need
He can't, because
our goal
in the scene is that we want the hammer.
Yeah, no, I withdraw. No, you're absolutely. Your objective here is to get the hammer. So if you concede,
not to take him down.
Hammer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the question now, is he going to concede? I'm thinking about that. While Vicky, what do you do?
I'm going to go for him.
Right. And is this a physical
okay.
attack on him? Using drive?
Yeah, unless it's creating an advantage for Zenobia.
Okay. No, if you can succeed with drive to create an advantage that puts him in, in the crosshairs of a worm, if such a combination
So
exists.
I am trying to, I am creating a threat. I'm not actually doing it, but I'm creating a setup for Zenobia.
Okay. I am going to spend one of my 2 remaining fate points to invoke Fist's aspect, fiercely loyal to the Cudgel Lord. And so Fist throws themselves between you and the Cudgel Lord as you try to direct the worm. So that will increase the difficulty, I think, from... I think I'm going to make that difficulty 4 now.
Okay. Succeed with style.
Oh my!
The dice have unfroze.
So
finally,
finally, God, that was so long in the tank.
so I am going to give you crosshairs of the worm with 2 free invokes.
2 invokes, and I think mechanically this doesn't hurt Fist at all, but Fist is bowled out of the way by the iceworm.
Yeah,
to skitter and slide across the ice.
Because
unharmed, but he's super
thinking,
tough, so he's not hurt. But the iceworm just flicks him out of the way.
And the Cudgel Lord thought that flank was secure, and suddenly it is not. Zenobia walking up the table towards him. What do we see you do?
I think the move here is just like bold as brass. She puts a hand out and wraps it around the cudgel, right? Like she's grabbing the haft of the hammer too, and says, "If you let go, we'll let you live to fight another day."
I think this is again deceit, attacking him with deceit, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you know that he could smash you into tiny pieces with this thing.
Oh yeah. I'm physically a totally normal human.
Exactly. So I think let's see if your deceive can just push him to the point of. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to concede. I don't think it's in him. I think a grizzled humanoid master of the icequake tundra who is hungry for more,
right?
Is not going to concede. I think this is about whether you can take him out.
Right, like
you
push him to the edge such that he just drops the hammer involuntarily.
And you describe what happens.
Yeah. Okay, so
do your thing, Zenobia. Deceive is 3, his will is still 4.
Well, I think that can do it. I've got 2 on the dice. I've got 3 on deceive. That comes to 5, which is more than his will. And you know what? I'll take a free invoke from Crosshairs of the Worm to make it successful.
Drive it home.
Oh yeah.
And you get to describe, Zenobia, what taking him out looks like.
Oof. Okay, yeah. So how much? Let me put something forward that involves Lars helping with a little trick here that that will end up being just flavor, but it seems good in my head, so I want to propose it and tell me if we want to do any modification. Like he eyes dart around. He's never felt so cornered, and he does try and take a swing at Zenobia, and it's like the hammer just goes through her, right? And then she's suddenly next to him, still reaching to take the hammer and just like shaking her head condescendingly. And this like puts the finishing touch, and he falls from his nerveless fingers as he runs from the roar of the worm. Does that work for folks as a sort of combined?
I can basically just do shadows, not illusions, but he is rattled enough that he doesn't notice it.
So it's like there was a shadow version of me, for a moment there that made him, question, whether his physical strength could help at all. And then
I'm very happy for in those last moments that as you are freaking him out, Lars coats you in shadow. And what he doesn't know is that when he takes a swing at the shadow, you're no longer inside it.
Exactly.
That gives us narrative consistency. Vicky, do you want to add anything to this as the Cudgel Lord is running from the throne room, the audience chamber?
Vicky and the worm rear up. The worm rears up and it flares its conical teeth and gives this horrible, nails on chalkboard screech, that rattles through the and echoes against the walls of the icy cavern. Before these things were modified predators, and there's a little bit of that comes out, that they were changed so they don't eat people, but you can see the horrible beasts that they used to be for just a moment.
And I can use that to allow Fist to concede with a scream of "Master!" and then under her breath, "My love," as she chases after the Cudgel Lord, which gets both our principal antagonists out of the room. The rest of his court, his hangers-on, are scattering away. The Cudgel Lords run for it. They're making the best they can. Maybe he'll be back, but we don't know. "A quarter's free," somebody says something. What does that mean? I don't know. And so the throne room empties quickly. And that's when the Zevra arrives. Of course, through the hole that the worm made. And I think we'll see the Zevra kind of rear up and head goes on one side as it eyes the worm. Vicky, I think you have an option here to change an aspect if you want to. From what was the Watchful Mutaworrior Zefra Rider to Watchful Mutaworrior Iceworm Rider.
Not a chance. The Zefra charges the iceworm.
Loyalty is all. The Zefra charges the iceworm and you somersault gently onto the back of the Zefra.
Yes.
And
there's this tremendous thud, which doesn't really harm the iceworm any, but it takes that opportunity to roll over a few retainers and escape the throne room
and disappear into the floor of the audience chamber. I think that unless you've got a better way to finish this, I think that it is kind of screen wipe to the three of you with a now more or less more corporeal Thorian kind of standing here looking back at the palace. Who's carrying the hammer?
I mean, I'm the one who grabbed it after he dropped it. But I know Lars is intensely curious about it.
You can carry it. It's fine. Become a beast. Be aware that you might become a beast when you wield it a lot. Let me look at these inscriptions.
Princess
Vicky,
may I have the honor?
Zenobia do like shiny things.
Have my daggers figured themselves out yet? I guess
the compel was for the scene.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I check, do the snap, reacquire the Moonsteel daggers. Very well. Victory through perseverance. The hammer of the Beast of Umdaar. And she'll do a very formal handoff of it because it seems like this is a moment that calls for some
and
formality.
Victory says, I accept this in your service and protection, my master.
Is this, because I think this is a significant milestone. I'm probably throwing milestones at you a little bit too quickly in terms of the way the rules should run, but it seems appropriate that this is a significant milestone. So if you want to check out the milestone section, everybody gets a minor milestone, right? Which is you can do one of the following: switch the ranks 2 skills, rewrite 1 stunt, purchase a new stunt by spending refresh, rewrite any one of your aspects. Are we rewriting an aspect to reflect this, Vicky? I'm not asking you to do that now. I'm asking you to think about it, because you could do it as a minor milestone. And you are also going to get the major milestone, which is on top of the minor. You can do all of the following: rewrite your high concept, if applicable. I'd like you to suggest that in the kind of intergame chat, if you've got a suggestion for that, because it does need to kind of in some way tie into events that have come to pass. Moderate or severe consequences, not yet in recovery. You'll get to roll that, but I think we can assume, Lars, that by next time your minor consequence will have gone away. Increase a skill rating by 1 step, even from mediocre to +1, as long as you maintain the kind of general pattern that an upper skill number can't overlap a lower skill number. It has to be at least a cylinder, if not a pyramid, and so on. I mean, read those, but I think that retrieving the hammer of the Beast of Umdaar is undoubtedly a major milestone.
Yeah, you know what? I know one of those things I'm going to do. I'm going to increase a skill. I'm bringing my will up to +3.
Ooh, nice.
I am indomitable.
You are indomitable, and you have faced down an obviously greater physical threat through just willpower to an extent. The willingness for you to just hang in there and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Absolutely no problem with that at all. Brandon, Sabine, think about it for next time. Let's have a chat in the chat about where you think that might go, so I know what I'm playing with before we start next week. But I think at this point...
One question that I have, because it says the GM may decide that we gain a point of refresh.
I think I'm prepared to, because gosh, we're at climactic whatever to next time. So and today you were scraping the bottom of the fate point barrel. So I think that how I up the opposition for next time, I don't know, but
more of them,
multiply.
No, in Fate it's very useful to have multiple opponents, because otherwise everybody will pile on the major villain and then it goes very fast.
So I think we're at Stars and Wishes. So let's have a quick run round. If I can keep with the sequence that starts with Sabine. Any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, lots of stars. This was a fun session. I didn't think we'd make it, really. Thank you, dear dice roller, for just turning around when we really needed you. That was epic. And also I loved Vicky taming the iceworm, and I loved Zenobia taming the cudgel lord, basically. This was a ton of fun. So and star to you, Alan, for just running with everything we threw at you and still ending on time. I am constantly amazed by your skill at doing that.
Thank you. Wishes for next time?
Oh, hell, wishes. I wish I could think of a stunt that I want. So yeah, that is my basic wish. But otherwise, I am fine with going and hitting Zenobia's daddy, and I'm wishing for drama. right? Yeah, that's what I'm wishing for.
Okay, so I will push drama next time. Okay, moving along. Brandon, any stars, any wishes?
I really liked everyone's contributions to getting into the ice fortress and the battle, and yes, points to the dice roller for picking the right time to throw us a bone. The ice worm, thank you for bringing the ice worm in on my offhand suggestion, because it's what a dramatic addition to everything. But I loved Laris's use of shadows and such like that to make everything better, and Zenobia's deciding to try to just intimidate the Cudgel Lord into fearing for his life, so I loved all that, and scraping the bottom of the fate point barrel is harsh, but very appropriate in the scene. My wish for next time, I felt from the beginning of the campaign that Vicky's role is, frankly, is to die for Zenobia, and so the opportunity to make the ultimate sacrifice or something like that is, it just seems thematically appropriate. When that last little bit with Fist struck a chord in Victory that we didn't get a chance to play out, because it's like, I know what that means. That is why you serve. You don't just serve because you serve. You serve because you love.
I like that. I like that.
And so so that's my wish.
Alexi, any stars, any wishes?
Absolutely. Stars all around, very fun. Stars for the tense conflict of the session, and Alan, for hitting us with some compels to complicate the situation while also arming us with fate points so that we didn't just completely fall under stress by the end. I think it made for a really fun arc, and a star to Brandon and Alan also for kind of playing out the kind of emotional arc with Zenobia and Vicky, kind of in a subtle way, under the conflict that was going on, right? Big stars all around.
Wishes?
Just for family drama and kind of moments of high stakes as we close in on this finale.
Fine. My stars, the fact that we are psychically connected, Brandon, because I had statted an iceworm before this session had begun. I take all the plaudits for having exploited the throwaway comment, but in fact, there were going to be iceworms, guys. They're just no brainer, really. There had to be. There had to be. So it's odd that we are psychically connected, but effective. I didn't expect you to try to ride it, to bring it to create a hazard you could use. But I thought it was very cool that that's the way it went. I think that big stars for the fact that I think you recognized you couldn't win this as a fight. Because you might have had more of a chance if Thorian had been here. He might have defaulted to kind of going toe to toe. but I thought it was really imaginative to to keep plugging away at the kind of pretend provoke, the deceive as a weapon of war, and the way that Lars then played off Zenobia's opening shots, and then once Fist was kind of dealt with, that Vicky began to kind of build that or build on it by Zenobia threatened him with an iceworm. So Vicky is very happy to get back on the iceworm and try to make it real. So I thought it was really clever, the way that all worked. And yeah, you didn't even have to invoke traitors. Quite. I was kind of, when we did that last round of compels, just to try to drive things to a conclusion. You'd been trying to keep a distance, so I thought it made sense to try to force you up close and personal. So if it went badly, you could end up getting really badly hurt. But you went with that, and I was waiting for you to invoke some traitors, if I'm honest. That maybe Bash was not, the Fist was not as loyal as you thought. But so stars for that.
In some ways, the iceworm was the traitor.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, you're right.
I'm
betrayed by your own housekeepers.
Very glad not to have fought Fist, because she would have kicked my sorry ass.
Wishes for next time. Yes, I want some interpersonal drama, and I'm wondering about how to build that. I don't know if that's about a kind of almost private confrontation between Zenobia and her father, as you try to get to his soul stealer and crush it with the hammer, and whether when somebody uses the hammer, that's when its bestial flaw will raise its ugly head. I don't know. But there's plenty in the air to play with, I think, in terms of dramatic scenes. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for kind of going with it and getting close to the edge, because Fate is all about what are you prepared to give up in order to achieve your ends, and that was tremendous. So I will end by saying, are you okay for me to publish the recording?
Works for me.
Thank you all, and we will be back hopefully with Thorian, more corporeal. You didn't need to invoke his aspects in the end. You were busy invoking your own, but he was there. So I will stop the recording now. Say bye to the internet. Bye, internet.